Hi there. Today we are going to look at section 5.1 of your textbook, which is from particles to solutions. So as the video plays, take notes on a sheet of lined paper, and if you need to, pause the video when necessary. And at the end of the lesson, there's a few practice problems that you can use in order to consolidate your learning. So here we go. So what is matter? Matter is anything that has mass and takes up space. So if we can measure its mass using a scale, we can measure its volume either by using a ruler, or we can take a water displacement. And if it has either of those things, then it would be considered matter. So the device that you're watching this video on, it matters. The light that is coming from your screen is not matter. So, the particle theory. Number one, all matter is made up of tiny particles with empty spaces between them. We'll learn later on that these particles are called atoms. Different substances are made from different particles. So, a bar of gold is made up of gold particles, whereas the copper wires in your house are made up of copper atoms. So, particles are in constant random motion. Anytime they bump into something, they're just going to bounce off and change direction. They don't have brains or eyes or plan where they're going to go. They just move randomly. Particles are going to move faster when you heat them up. And the opposite is true. If you cool them down, they'll start to move a lot slower. And particles attract each other. And they're kind of like magnets. The closer they are together, the greater that force of attraction. If we look at these three diagrams, we see solids, liquids, and gases. So in the solid, the particles are attracted to each other the most, so it maintains its defined shape. In a liquid, they're not quite as attracted to each other, so their shape is going to take on the shape of the container. But then with a gas, they have the least amount of attraction to them, so those gas particles are going to spread out and take the shape of that container. They're also going to move around the most. So in a solid, those particles are just mostly vibrating, whereas in a gas, they're flying around everywhere. So we can divide matter into pure substances or mixtures. So in a pure substance, it is made up of only one type of particle or atom. So gold, for example, pure gold would be made up of only gold atoms. Pure substances can be further broken down into either elements or compounds. Elements are found on the periodic table. If it's not on the periodic table, it's not an element. So O for oxygen or H for hydrogen, both of these are found on the periodic table. Compounds are made up of two or more elements who are bonded together. And we can recognize compounds because they often have a formula. So water is a compound with a formula H2O, and carbon dioxide is another compound with a formula CO2. Mixtures, these are substances that are made from at least two different types of particles. Sometimes you can see those particles very easily, for example, a salad. Other times the particles are very small, so you may not be able to see them with your own eyes. So for salt water, it's going to contain both water molecules, which are these little guys here, as well as salt ions, which are these bigger ones here. A mechanical mixture is a mixture that you can see all the different types of particles. So in a bowl of soup, you can see the chicken and the noodles and the carrots. You can also see in a mixture of sand and iron filings and salt, you're able to see all of those different substances discretely. So we would refer to that as a mechanical mixture. A solution also contains more than one type of particle, but you can't necessarily see them, so it may look like a pure substance. So for example, a glass of apple juice, you can't tell that there's water and sugar and vitamins, but they're all there. So this would actually be a solution. Now, when we're dealing with liquids and gases, sometimes it can be confusing as to if you are looking at a solution or a mechanical mixture. So for liquids and gases, solutions tend to be clear. So for example, the air around you is a solution of gas, or tap water would be a solution of water molecules, as well as some fluorine and chloride ions. A mechanical mixture will tend to be murky or opaque, so you can't necessarily see through it. So when it is foggy out, that would be a mechanical mixture of gas. Or if you're drinking chocolate milk, that also would be a mechanical mixture because you can't see through it. An alloy is a specific type of solution when two or more metals are melted and then mixed together. So brass would be an example, so would stainless steel. So you don't have to write these down, but some interesting facts. Old tin cans used to have alloys with lead, and that lead unfortunately would absorb into the food and be eaten. And the problem with lead is that it's a heavy metal and it will accumulate in the brain. And if it builds up to a high enough concentration, it can make you hallucinate and go crazy. So sailors would often only eat canned foods because they'd be traveling on long trips and wouldn't have access to fresh food. So canning was a way to preserve food. And because they were unfortunately eating canned food made from lead cans, then there were some pretty strange findings at a shipwreck in the Arctic. So the Franklin expedition in 1845 was destined for the Canadian Arctic, and unfortunately, those sailors had ingested lead, and it weakened its members to a point where tuberculosis and pneumonia wrought havoc. Anorexia, weakness, and paranoia would have compounded the effects of starvation and scurvy, leading to the final horrors of cannibalism. Yikes. So now we're going to practice. In the next few slides, you're going to see some of the following items, and you have to determine whether you're looking at a pure substance, a solution, a mechanical mixture, or an alloy. And for a pure substance, if you know whether it's an element or a compound, you can write that down as well. So beneath your note, you can number 1 to 7 and write out your answers, and tomorrow in class, we'll check to see if they're correct. If you need to give yourself some time to think, you can pause the video for each slide. So number 1, a bowl of M&Ms. Number 2, rims on a car. 3, salt. 4, diamond. 5, liquid hand soap. 6, orange juice, with or without pulp. I prefer mine without pulp. And 7, helium in a balloon. All right, so tomorrow in class for the homework check, bring with you the note that you made from this video, as well as your answers to the 7 practice questions. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.